Good morning, everybody. Welcome to Daily Red Devil for all of your latest Manchester United transfer news and talk. I hope everyone is feeling all right today. Obviously, last night was unacceptable. We will be talking about that in a minute. But before we get into this morning's show, please do smash a like on the video. Please do subscribe to the channel if you're new. And let's get straight on into it. So, as you can see from the title of the video, we will mainly be focusing on last night's game. We'll be focusing on what's next for Manchester United. Is this the end for Erik Ten Hag? And as always, I will open up the comment section for you all to get involved. So please do make sure to have your say in the comment section below. I love to see what you guys have to say on all things. So yeah, get involved. I'll start off with my views on things then, just to get things started. And I'll read out as many as possible. So keep getting them in the chat, and I'll read out everybody's kind of, what your thoughts are. Let me know. Do you think Erik Ten Hag's the right man? If you don't, let me know what your plan is. Try and make it as detailed as possible, and I will read out as many as I can. Right. So I'll start with my opinion whilst you guys get your comments in. Last night was lackluster. We had one shot on target. It looked like, I'll be completely honest. Bayern Munich didn't even get out of first gear, did they? Or second gear, sorry. It was like a training drill for Bayern Munich. They'd already qualified. Yes, they played a full strength team. Yes, their team on paper is miles better than us. Every single one of their players is better than our players. Let's be clear on that. I genuinely wouldn't swap a single one of our players for one of their players. Genuinely. Bruno Fernandes is the only exception, but I would probably swap Musiala for Bruno Fernandes, to be blunt. And Erik Ten Hag came out after the game and said this. He said, "We made mistakes. Today, the performance was very good. We didn't deserve to lose the game. In the end, it's not good enough." I don't agree with that, to be honest. Him saying the performance was very good. We had one shot on target all game. And that shot on target was a shot from Luke Shaw outside the box, which wasn't even really a shot. It was just he kicked. Obviously, it was a shot, but you know what I mean? It wasn't like it was a proper chance. He kicked the ball from outside the box and it deflected off somebody. It was not even a shot on target, really. It was a shot on target just because. You know what I mean here. It wasn't like it was a one-on-one chance that we should have scored and it was really unlucky and blah, blah, blah. It was like a fluke shot from outside the box that deflected off somebody. And for Erik Ten Hag to say today the performance was very good, I didn't see anything good about that performance. You could argue that the defensive performance was better, but as I said, Bayern Munich didn't even seem bothered to win the game. They didn't even really seem interested. And that obviously is down to Erik Ten Hag, but it's also down to the players. These players, how can they not be motivated to go out and try and win this match? They know that they have to win to have any chance of staying in Europe, whether that's in Europa or in the Champions League. They have to win the game. Winning is the only way to go through. And to be only able to achieve one shot in the whole match, that's embarrassing. That's not good enough on any level, is it? You see other teams coming to Manchester United and you see how motivated and determined they are to win. We're at home with 75,000 people behind us. Probably 70,000 of them are Manchester United fans, some of which have travelled probably from all over the world to come and watch them play. There will have been people who have literally travelled from all corners of the world to go and watch that game last night. And they think that the performance they just put in was acceptable. It's not. And now, if you look at our form now, we've won one game in the last 5. We lost to Bayern, lost to Bournemouth, beat Chelsea, lost to Newcastle and drew with Galatasaray. 1 win in 5 matches. That's not good, is it? It really, really isn't. Obviously, now going into Liverpool on Sunday and then West Ham away and then Aston Villa. Those 3 games alone. Aston Villa, probably the best team in the Premier League at the moment. Liverpool, second best team in the Premier League. West Ham have dropped off a little bit, but are still a very, very good side. And obviously, David Moyes will be very motivated to beat us. And what does this mean for Erik Ten Hag? I'm going to give you my view now, okay? Because I know everyone wants... people say, "Oh, you sit on the fence. Let us know. Why are you backing the manager?" I had a bit of a, this morning when I woke up, obviously I'd slept on it a little bit and I had a bit of a think about how I actually feel this morning. And this is how I feel today. Okay. Obviously things can change. If we get beaten 10-0 by Liverpool, then maybe it will change. But at the moment, I'm giving Erik Ten Hag to the end of the season. That's my plan, right? End of the season. If he doesn't get top 4, he's gone for me. He has to go. He will be sacked if he doesn't get top 4, I think. But for me, there's no excuses now. This is Erik Ten Hag's opportunity to show us what he can do as a manager. He's going to be playing 1 game a week now for the rest of the season. Manchester United are used to playing 2 or 3 games a week. That's what we've done for the last 15 years. The last time we got knocked out at this stage of the Champions League was in 2005. So it's been, 18 years since we've been in this same position. He'll be playing one game a week. He'll have probably 5 or 6 training sessions a week versus probably 2 or 3 for the last 18 months. 6 training sessions a week. If he can't implement tactics, if he can't implement a style of play by the end of the season and we don't get top 4, he has to go for me at that point, because what's the point? What's the point at that point? Obviously, he's going to get people back from injury in the next couple of weeks. Martinez will be back. Casemiro's back. If we now don't get top 4, I know people are saying, "Oh, we're never going to get top 4. It's unrealistic." But things can change quite quickly in football. Aston Villa are doing well at the moment, but they could quite easily, start losing games. I imagine Man City, Liverpool, Arsenal will all get top 4, I imagine. But I could see Aston Villa, suddenly start going downhill. There is an opportunity there. My sneeze. There is an opportunity there for us to still get top 4. And for me, that's my take on it. One game a week, we have to start seeing a style of play. And if we don't see that, then he has to go for me. But at this point, I'm backing Erik ten Hag. Let's have a look what people are saying. Daniel says Erik ten Hag's comments after the game were shocking. He clearly did it to keep morale up, but he's pissing off fans more because we know it was horrible. Even Poch called out Chelsea saying it was not good. Sarah says, we've been here far too many times with previous managers. It's ridiculous. Need a complete shakedown from ownership top to bottom. And Fred says, how can we back this deluded man? Played well. His standard, I assume. Yeah, I mean, to come out and say that we played very well last night, that did really, really rub me up the wrong way, to be honest. It really, really did. How on earth can you say we played well? We clearly didn't. It was a really, really boring game. Bayern Munich weren't even interested. Yeah. Let's see what else people are saying in the chat this morning. Somebody says, Conte is waiting. Is he good enough? Nah, I wouldn't bother with Conte personally. I don't know. Obviously, Conte's a serial winner, but I don't think Conte would be able to get anything out of these players either. He went to Tottenham, he failed. It's a no from me for Conte, definitely not. Justin says our style of play is non-existent. I agree with you, mate. It is, and that's what I'm saying. I'll give him to the end of the season. I'll give him the benefit of the doubt. I'll give him, the end of the season's another 22 matches. He's got 22 matches to show us that he's implemented a style of play. He's got 22 matches to show that buying Anthony, Mason Mount, Eriksen, who else? Højlund, all of these people were good players, and to show us why he bought those players. Because at the moment, I don't see it. I simply don't. I get it. There's a bigger problem at bay here. The Glazers, the ownership, the bad recruitment, the non-existent director of football, all of these things are massive issues. It's not 100% on Erik ten Hag. He's a small piece of this problem, but he is the face of Manchester United. He knew what he was taking on when he came into this club. He knew that things probably weren't going to change and that he'd have to work with the Glazers. He'd have to work with John Murtough and Richard Arnold. He was happy to take the job. He thought he could succeed. So obviously, it's his head that will roll at the end of the day. He's the one that's in the firing line because he is the manager. Whether that's right or wrong, that's up to you to decide. But my point being here, some managers won't come to Manchester United because they don't like how the club is run. And they know that. And they'll say that has been publicly documented that some managers won't come to Manchester United. Some players won't come to Manchester United because they know what goes on behind the scenes. Ever since Cristiano Ronaldo did that interview with Piers Morgan, ultimately exposing the Glazers, exposing how the club's run, exposing the poor training facilities, the lack of facilities and all of these things. It's public knowledge now that behind the scenes, Manchester United is a joke. And the thing that frustrates me the most in this current moment now is that it doesn't even look like Jim Ratcliffe's going to be in by January. So if you were to sack Erik ten Hag now, right, you lose your manager. You probably have Darren Fletcher as the caretaker manager, right, which I don't want, or Steve McLaren, which I don't want. You won't have any money in January. And even if they did, they wouldn't spend it because they'd say, oh, we're waiting until we have a new manager. And then the whole season will just be a write-off. It'd be exactly the same thing as what happened under Ollie. Ollie got sacked, and who was it? Ralph Ragnick came in, and the season was a write-off, and it got worse. So for me, I give him to the end of the season. I'm willing to turn over a new leaf, whatever you want to call it. Give him a fresh start. I know that sounds crazy, and people are like, I don't want to give him a fresh start. I'm never going to forget the 7-0. I'm not going to forget, being knocked out of the Champions League. But there's no point carrying this hate and this frustration with you every single day. It won't get us anywhere, okay? So this is the fresh start. And hopefully everybody can share my my viewpoint here, all right? Today, what's the date today? Today, December the 13th, it's a new start, right? And we will judge Erik ten Hag at the end of the season. This is his opportunity. 1 game a week, 5 or 6 training sessions a week. Just put that into context. At the moment, he's been playing 3 games a week for the last 18 months since he's been here. He did a ridiculous preseason tour of America, which isn't his choice, remember. Barely doing any training at all. They probably, I think I read that at the moment, they're doing about 2 or 3 training sessions per week. The rest of the time's either a game day or a rest day. Whereas with 1 game a week, they'll be doing 5 or 6, if not more. Double the amount of training, 1 game a week. If he now can't get a tune out of these players and we don't see a style of play, I 100% would say he has to go. 100%. But this is the fresh start for me. Now, people will come at me in the comment section and say, this is Manchester United. We're always going to play 3 games a week. But the thing you have to remember is, right, if you compare it with people like Arteta didn't have Champions League or even Europa for the first 2 seasons. He was playing 1 game a week for the first 2 seasons, or the first 18 months. Obviously, he came in halfway through a season. So for the first half a season, no European football. The second season, he finished 8th, no European football. And my point being here was he had 18 months of solid 1 game a week, 6, 7 training sessions a week. And now we see how well Arsenal are playing. So I'm going to give Erik ten Hag till the end of the season. I just think sacking him is ridiculous because there is no solution. There's no money to back a new manager. There's no new manager waiting. The owners are staying. It will just make the situation work. Richie says last season Ten Hag said we must win every game. Not said it once this season. He knows he's failing. He does say it quite often, Richie, in the press conferences. He says but he says it in a kind of backhanded way. They'll say, is it acceptable to lose against Bournemouth? And he'll say, no, Manchester United need to win every game. It's kind of in a, yeah. Lumen says, Kieran, let's keep in mind one thing. Next time we get a manager, even if it's Zidane or Pep or Klopp, we fans will not get excited and make the manager a god. Yeah, that's completely fair. Top Dog says, we have no consistency. We are just free falling now. Suppose we will blame injuries again. I mean, mate, how can we not blame injuries? I don't agree with this whole, blaming the injuries, Let's go through it really, really quickly. I know people don't care because they think this is... So let's do it really quickly together. Casemiro injured. Mason Mount. I'm writing it down for you so I can put it in the chat. Eriksen injured. Martinez injured. Ahmad injured. Who's the other guy? The left back. Malacia injured. Shaw's now injured. Maguire's injured. Sancho suspended. Who else is there? Is that all of them? There's probably some more that I'm missing out there. So you've got Casemiro... obviously, Lindelof's injured as well at the moment. So as of today, I mean, this is probably just... I've just tried to put it in the chat. As of today, Casemiro injured, Mason Mount injured, Eriksen injured, Martinez, Ahmad, Malacia, Shaw, Maguire, Sancho. He's got 10 players injured. 10. Man City lose Rodri for 1 game and they lose, I think, 2 games in a row. Just let that sink in for a minute. So... for me, I have to give him to the end of the season. If this was the full strength Manchester United side, you had your Martinez, Varane, Casemiro, that was your squad, and you put in these performances, I think he probably would have been sacked by now, to be honest. But I think that behind the scenes, they'll be looking at this and saying, look at how many injuries there are. Look at the problem we're in. Let's see what else people are saying in the chat. Anthony says, I'd get Erik ten Hag a new contract. I assume you're joking, right? Or you're a rival fan. Surely giving Erik ten Hag a new contract is... I mean, I get it. I'll try and understand it from your perspective if you are being serious. If they were to give Erik ten Hag a new contract now, it would be them backing the manager opposed to backing the players, which is something that they've done countless times. Because let's be very, very clear here. No matter how good the manager is, even if you had Pep Guardiola, Jurgen Klopp, they're not going to get much more out of that current set of players that started yesterday. Just look at the team that played Bayern Munich yesterday. Now, again, you'll be like, you're making excuses, blah, blah, blah. But just come on, just hear me out for 1 minute here, right? Look at Bayern Munich's team, okay? Manuel Neuer, okay, maybe he's a little bit past it. Alphonso Davies, unbelievable. Kim Min-jae, we should have signed him in the summer. He was about to join, and United decided they didn't have enough money for him. Upamecano, unbelievable player. Mazraoui, maybe not the best, but still decent. Kimmich, Goretzka, 2 of the best CDMs in the world. Coman, Musiala, Leroy Sané, unbelievable, and Harry Kane. Look at our team, right? Luke Shaw, I think he's injury prone now, to be honest. He's got injured so many times in the last 10 years. He went off injured last night. He only just came back about 3 games ago, and now he's injured again. Varane, world class at one point, but I don't think so anymore. Maguire, West Ham, mid-table level. Dalot, I would say the same. I don't think Dallow's good enough to play for Manchester United personally. I don't think he's very good going forward. And I don't think he's very good defensively. I think he's bang average. We saw in that game against Bournemouth, he had an opportunity to cut it back to Højlund and get an easy goal and put us back in the game, and he decides to shoot. Like, he doesn't have the intelligence of a proper footballer. McTominay, West Ham level. Amrabat, I don't think is good enough personally. I think he's okay. Garnacho, I think could be good enough, but at the moment is still like a prospect. Fernandes, yeah, okay, he's a decent player. Anthony, don't even need to talk about Anthony. And Højlund, I think the same with Garnacho. I honestly think that Højlund is in the same category as Garnacho. I think that he could be a good player, but it's 50-50. I genuinely believe that. I think we knew that when we signed him. He's a prospect. It could go well. It might not. So looking through the spine of that team, I mean, Onana was an absolutely terrible signing as well. Like, I honestly, now this isn't even me being dramatic or trying to be funny. Like, I think genuinely the only player in that whole team for Manchester United that I would be gutted if they left is Garnacho. Even Højlund, like, I know he's only been here 6 months. Obviously, I'm behind the player and I hope he does well. But I honestly think if like Højlund was injured for a month or something, it wouldn't be like we would be any different of a team. You know, I genuinely don't think that. Like, he presses like great. He maybe runs too much, I think. I think maybe that's why he doesn't find himself in the positions a lot of the time, because he's constantly pressing. He's the only player who presses a lot of the time. But my point being here, right, I don't like any of these players. I don't feel any emotional attachment to any of these players. Anthony says, I'm not joking, we need to back him. He says, Fergie had to change the whole ethos of the club. It took him years to get it right. And that, mate, I do get it. At first I thought you were just trolling, but I get it. If they were to give him a new contract, that shows that they are, if they were to give him a new contract, it would show that they were backing him instead of backing the players, which I get. Paul says, would you keep Kobe Mainoo? Yeah, of course. I was just talking about the players who started the game yesterday. We can do the bench as well. Johnny Evans, not good enough. Wan-Bissaka, back up. Hannibal, I'd keep. Pellistri, I'd keep. Mainoo, I'd keep. Dangor, I'd keep. Hugill, I'd keep. Reguilon, I'd let go. Heaton, I'd let go. And Bayern, I've never seen, so I'm not going to judge. I would keep all the young players because I haven't seen enough of them to make a judgment. I mean, Johnny Evans is 36. He got relegated with Leicester last season. Is that the level we want at Manchester United? Wan-Bissaka, I think, is a decent backup. I don't think he's good enough to be starting every single game. And all of the youth players, the Mejbris, the Pellistris, the Mainus, Gores, Hugo. You know what? I would give all of them some game time now. I hope that we see Mainoo instead of McTominay. I hope that we see Dangor get an opportunity. I hope that we see Hugo get an opportunity over Højlund. Højlund hasn't scored a goal yet. Like, this isn't me slagging him off. I'm just stating facts. He hasn't scored a goal yet, and you've got a young striker on the bench who, I'll be honest, I don't know much about. But if he's on the bench, if they think he's good enough to be on the bench, give him some game time. Why not? We've got nothing to play for now, really. We're out of the Champions League. Just give it a bit of a chance. What else have we got? But yeah, I mean, do you guys genuinely feel any emotional attachment to any of these players? Like, just let me know. And if so, which ones? From the starting 11 who started yesterday. Because I personally don't. And I felt like that for a long time. I really, really have. The only one who I really, really felt an attachment to last season was with these players. And there's videos from the beginning of the season, me saying this. Martinez, I think, is an unbelievable player. I think he plays with his heart on his sleeve, and I like that. Casemiro, I think, again, is the same. He plays with his heart on his sleeve. And Garnacho. Those are the 3 players at Manchester United that I like, that I actually like, I'm fond of. The rest of them, I honestly don't really care, to be honest. But that's just my take on it. Al says, are we 100% sure Jim Ratcliffe is even coming? Why the delay? I mean, I did actually hear something this morning that apparently... the price might end up changing for the purchase, because ultimately Manchester United aren't in the same financial position as what they were before. But yeah, let me know what you guys think about that. Like, if you were attached to this deal, would you be asking for money off it? Lumen says, Kieran, you are very attached to Erik ten Hag. Yeah, I don't really understand how people are saying I'm moaning. I think I've come into this very level-headed. Like, I've seen other channels that and people on Twitter and stuff who are just like, Erik Ten Hag out, get him out. I think I've been very real with my thoughts today. Maybe I'm wrong. Maybe you disagree with me. Maybe you think that, that your opinion is better. That's obviously up to you. Like, an opinion's an opinion. I've said that I back the manager. I'll give him to the end of the season. I think this is his opportunity to prove to us that he's good enough to be the Manchester United manager. I think this is his opportunity to implement his tactics now that he's only playing one game a week. And I think this is his opportunity to prove people wrong. I don't really understand how that's moaning. I think that's a pretty level-headed response to what's just happened. We've been knocked out of the Champions League for the first time since 2005. We've conceded the most goals out of any team in the Champions League ever. We lost 5. Do you know what I mean? Like, I don't need to bore you with all the stats, but that was the worst campaign of any English club ever in the Champions League, ever. So to say moaning, I mean, is that not moan-worthy? Yeah, I don't know. I don't really know what you want me to. I'm just giving inside. I'm not. Why would I do that? Inside me, I don't feel any attachment to any of these players. And I said that at the beginning of the season. So, people can't just say, oh, you're overreacting because we're out of the Champions League. I knew we would be out of the Champions League. I knew that we wouldn't go through. So it's not like a surprise, but I'm just giving you my honest feeling. I don't really like any of these players. I don't. They've thrown other managers under the bus. I think most of them aren't good enough. I think the recruitment's been poor. I think we've wasted money. Like, these are my reasons why I don't like them. One week they look like they care. The next week they look like they don't. Why would you have any fondness for them if that's how they treat the fans? Like, I just, and that's just how I feel. Maybe I don't need to explain it, but yeah. Adrian says, Kieran, I don't always agree with what you're saying, but you're not moaning. It was a clueless comment. Yeah, okay, well, thank you, but yeah, I think I'm being pretty level-headed this morning, all things considered. I could sit here screaming at the camera saying, get him out, just repeatedly shouting stuff at you, but like, I don't think that's very like sensible response. Fred says, who is going to play against Liverpool? Well, obviously we will be doing a match preview for that, but Bruno Fernandes is suspended, Luke Shaw is now injured, Maguire's now injured, so God knows. Let's have a look. But yeah, I'm going to wrap the video up here, guys. I think it's obviously a very negative time. It's a very toxic time to be a Manchester United manager. To have any association with Manchester United, it's toxic at the moment. I will be back this evening, obviously at 6:30. If anything breaks between then and now, we will go live as always. Please do make sure to smash a like on the video before you leave. Please do subscribe if this is your first time watching. Thanks to everyone who's joined me this morning. Keep getting your comments in and letting me know what your kind of thoughts are going forward. And we'll speak a bit later. Have a nice day, everybody, and speak soon.